There you go. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Do you want to give us a quick intro? Who you are, why you're here,
Yes.
what you do?
My name is Hannah Prescott. I'm a registered nutritionist originally from the UK, but I live out in Southeast Asia now where I've been for the past 4.5 years.
That's crazy.
I know, yeah. I have my own nutrition coaching business called the Nutrition Project, and I help people in tropical climates or challenging conditions improve their endurance performance and lose fat at the same time.
And you are like the queen of high rocks, aren't you, as well?
I'm trying. I'm trying to champion nutrition in high rocks because everyone's training really, really hard, but forgetting that you kind of got to eat alongside that.
Well, that sort of brings me like to the first question I was going to ask you anyway, is like nutrition versus exercise. Obviously, you've gone down massively down the nutrition route, but for someone who's just sort of, I don't know, like me, for example, just training, just enjoying being in shape or whatever, I've never really taken that much a real deep dive into what I'm consuming in terms of like the like deeper level than just what it can do for my aesthetic, if that makes sense. So like certain
Yeah,
amount of calories, certain macros, that's what you've always been conditioned or taught, isn't it? So
yeah.
what's the difference between someone eating in this calorie deficit for with foods that they just have to hand and someone that is really planning their meals and eating what they should be eating? Like, is there a difference?
Yeah, there's a big difference, and there's many different ways that it matters. But I've literally just written a Substack article on this actually,
Yeah.
all about how health is a rate limiter. So this is something I've been trying to articulate for years and years and years from kind of different angles. And then another nutritionist actually that I saw on Instagram the other day summed it up perfectly in the phrase, health is a rate limiter for performance, basically meaning like you can't optimize performance unless first and foremost you are a healthy human being. Because I think like nutrition for health and nutrition for performance are sometimes separate things in the sense that we wouldn't recommend that like sedentary people take energy gels, for example, but for endurance athletes, they're kind of really useful. So nutrition for health and performance can differ, but you can't separate them entirely because if you're not a healthy person, then you've not got a resilient body and your body is not going to fight injury and illness so that you can
Mm.
show up for training and get the most out of that stimulus. Because at the end of the day, the faster you can recover and the more energy you have to train, the more you can train, the better quality you hit the sessions with, and then the better fitness gains you walk away with.
Because I like again, as you know, I've been a personal trainer for quite a long time, and even me, I'm not a what I'd consider healthy eater. I just eat what gets me the amount of food I need to be eating to hit the numbers I need to hit. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the protein yogurts, yeah, exactly. And I feel like a lot of people in a similar situation who are just training to try and just be what they think is healthy
Yeah.
are just trying to eat for convenience and to still hit the numbers they need to hit, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go on.
I was going to say those numbers are always the macro numbers, like the micros get forgotten about, which is fine. Like if you're doing that, then you're doing a great job and you're doing better probably than 80% of the population because that is still really important. But it's just interesting that the conversations and the language that we use for performance or aesthetics versus health are very, very different. Like in performance, you don't talk about fiber and micronutrients or omega 3s. That's all like the gut health, fancy overall health stuff. Whereas in aesthetics or performance, we talk about protein per kilogram of body weight and stuff. And it's just two different set of vocabularies where actually both like approaches would benefit from kind of looking at the other one a little bit.
How important is gut health?
Really important. It's everything. Like your hormones, your endocrine system, like 90% of your serotonin is made in the gut, which is mad when you think about it because you would think your happy hormone is all to do with your brain. But this is why, like, for the past few years, everyone's been calling the gut like the second brain because
Mm.
it's where most of your hormones are created. So it has huge impact for mental wellness, like anything to do with hormones, which is essentially everything.
And how would someone diagnose if they're not looking after their gut properly? Like, what are some typical things that you'd feel like? Obviously, we don't want to go down the code brown route, but if
Oh,
if
we've already
I was,
got to that. We're like
don't know.
2 minutes in, Frank.
I don't want to sort. I'm trying to avoid it. But like, how would it show up in life if you're not looking after your gut properly?
I think it would show up in everything. It would obviously be digestion, like you said, energy, recovery, mood for sure, I think would be a big one. It, yeah, it's kind of hard to pinpoint specific things because it just is so broad.
And it's not because people live in this, and I live in this state of I don't know what good gut health looks like. I don't know if I've got good gut health. I don't know if I've got bad gut health, and I don't know if some of the stuff I live with and just accept as my this is who I am is linked is way deficient or way subpar for what it should be, right? So
Yeah.
what are some like simple, easy steps that you could take to improve your gut health and then also spot if it is benefiting the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think that's such a good question because good or bad gut health isn't a tangible thing. Like you can see whether your weight is increasing or decreasing. You can see whether you're building muscle and you can see abs or whatever. Like they're all the tangible kind of sexy things that we want from hitting the macronutrients, and that's why we all focus on the macronutrients. But I think for gut health, the best way that you can go about it is just eating a variety of foods and particularly a variety of plant foods. So that doesn't mean that you have to be vegan and just eat like a plant-based diet if you want to
Mm.
categorize it as that. But like even if you follow like a meat and two veg kind of diet, it's increasing that two veg to like three different colors of veg and then like sprinkling some nuts and seeds on top and even like coffee, dark chocolate, quality oils, they all count as plant foods because they're literally from plants. So I
Mm.
think it's thinking outside that quite restrictive bracket that in the UK we've probably all grown up with is like eat your five a day. But it's more than that. It's like your chickpeas and your lentils and stuff like that that doesn't have to replace meat, but it can go alongside it.
And have you always done this, or did you, as you were learning nutrition and getting into this space more and more, have you then adapted those things and seen the benefits from it?
Yeah, I've definitely adapted. I mean, I think I was fortunate, like, I had a pretty good health education growing up, I think. Like, in my family home, we always ate pretty home cooked food, and I learnt to cook from a young age. So, kind of made that connection between what I was cooking and the flavors and how I felt relatively early on. And we were never like a big meat eating family, and like meat freaks me out a little bit, even though I do eat it. So I naturally have included stuff like chickpeas and lentils. But I do notice a difference when I kind of get lazy with cooking at home and when I just choose meat as the easy option. It's not that meat is bad, it's great, it's really useful, but I start to neglect the variety of plant foods and then stuff like your skin glows less, like your hair's less shiny, your nails are more brittle, your energy and your recovery, like if you wear a Whoop or any kind of tracking device, it's not necessarily like clear metrics, but overall your recovery and your energy just starts to slump a bit.
I think that's what people miss, isn't it? That like you be even if you're not tracking stuff, even if you're not looking at data every single day, like you and I probably do, but you're looking at more so a day to day how you're feeling.
Yeah,
What like it's so easy to be lazy with nutrition.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I I can't when I get into like a phase of trying to do it, have a certain goal, like if I want to increase size for a few months, or if I want to, I don't know, like go into a bit of a deficit. I have staple meals that I just
yeah,
gravitate to because I know what's in them. I know I can cook them, and
yeah.
it takes very little effort for me to do so. So is that a bad approach to do it like that? Should I opt for more variety and maintain goal, or what? How can I navigate that?
I would never want to say that that's a bad approach because from what you've told me there, you're making the effort to plan your meals and you're like conscious of that around what should be on your plate. So you'll be having enough protein, having enough carbs. I'm sure you've got a bit of veg and fruit in there sometimes from like what I know of you. But
Sometimes.
like I said, that's better than probably like 80% of the population. And if that's the sustainable level that you can maintain, then that is great. What you're talking about is like, how can you optimize that further? Which
Mm.
is a conversation, and we can all improve. Even as a nutritionist, I can improve, and I'm lazy with my meals sometimes. But like, how we all get obsessed with optimization, and it's like, how sustainable actually is that? And does that optimization come at the cost of you sacrificing like some of your downtime and some of your chill time? Because then it's not worth it, because stress is always counterproductive to your gut health, to your overall health. So, yeah, like you could, like an easy way of doing it is every time you go shopping, just pick up like different fruits and veggies and just be a bit random with it rather than always getting like bell peppers or whatever. And then that's gradually just getting variety through your diet. But other than that, I think if it works for you to stick to those same meals, then there's not a problem with that.
But this it is all about optimization. But then if you're looking at someone from like if we just use the numbers that you said there, if I'm at 80% of what I could be doing,
Yeah.
to get that extra 20% is going to take sometimes, like you said, more effort than it's necessarily worth if it induces stress and it induces busyness. And it's like, I always get this like last minute need to eat. Like, I have to eat like within 5 minutes, otherwise, I'm going to like punch someone.
Yeah.
What about the person that's going from that 0 to 80%? Like, they wake up, they're rushing for work, they have a cereal bar or a bowl of cereal, and then they have, I don't know, whatever from the lunch canteen at work, or they work in a shop or whatever. They pick up a meal deal,
Yeah.
and then they don't have time to eat until they get home for tea, and then they can't be bothered to cook, so they get a pizza or they get something that they can just throw in the oven, and then
Yeah.
that's their day of nutrition. How can they easily implement steps to not only make it healthier, but maintain that same level of like, okay, this is easy. I can adapt it around my busy life.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the key really is that something is better than nothing. My biggest pet peeve is people saying, I don't have time to eat. Like, what do you mean you don't have time to eat? It literally keeps you alive. Like, what are you prioritizing more than that? And no matter who you are and what your goals are, you have to eat.
Mm,
So like something needs rethinking. And like I said, it's not that you need to eat something perfect. It's literally that something is better than nothing, because I see so many women in particular kind of not eating in the morning, and it might be because they're rushing to get their kids ready for school or they're rushing to training before work, which is great and it's admirable, but I think like fundamentally you have to take the time to eat, because else your health will deteriorate over time to a point where you can't look after yourself, and then you're going to be putting on those people that you're potentially looking after to then look after you,
mm,
if that makes sense. So that is my biggest pet peeve. And I think just for, if it's a quick breakfast, grabbing a protein shake and a banana, it's a pretty good balance. The banana is a whole food, it's a natural source of carbohydrates, fiber, and micronutrients. Protein shake is a quick and easy, convenient source of lean protein. That'll last you a couple of hours until you've got time for something more substantial. In terms of structuring your meals, I use a rule of thumb, which is, I call it the rule of thirds. So basically, a third of your plate should be filled with carbohydrates, a third of your plate should be filled with protein, and a third should be filled with veggies. Obviously, those proportions can be altered slightly depending on what your goal is. So if you're looking to lose fat, then maybe more protein, more veggies. If you're like me and you do loads of endurance performance, then your carbs are going to need to be way higher.
mm,
So it can be adjusted based on your goal. But if you just focus on that basic blueprint, then kind of anything goes. Like even with the breakfast example, the banana, that could be classified as like the veggies section or the carb section, and the protein shake is your protein. So to be honest, you're kind of already ticking those boxes.
mm.
For egg on toast takes like 5 minutes to make, right? So your eggs are your protein, your toast is your bread. If you just get a handful of spinach and cherry tomatoes and chuck that on the side, it doesn't even need cooking. It's literally just chuck it on your plate. Then
Mm.
you've got that rule of thirds ticked off in 5 minutes, and it's really, really cheap to make as well.
Mm. Is that something that think is like when we talk about the rule of thirds and having enough on your plate and stuff. What if I just don't like veg? What do I do then? Do
That's
I
kind
just need to grow up?
yeah, it's kind of a you problem. Suck it up and get on with it.
Just grow up.
Um,
What about these? What about these veg replacement things? So I bought AG1, for example, once. Well, I'm on a subscription. I'm called Mr. Subscription in our house because I just fucking can't stop subscribing to things and then forgetting to cancel them. So I've got
um,
about 5 bags of AG1 that I don't use.
I'm not particularly a fan. The only time that I ever recommend a greens powder, whether it's AG1 or something else, is if I've got an athlete who struggles with low appetite, and they need to hit like a high carbohydrate or protein goal. And so I don't want fiber to kind of like dampen their appetite because they're underfueling like so much on the carbs and the protein. So then in that scenario is probably the only scenario where I would say, okay, let's reduce the portion of actual veg and replace it with a greens powder. So you still get
Mm.
those micronutrients in, but without the volume. Other than that, I think there's so many different ways to make veg tasty. Like, I don't like salad. I think it's really, really boring. I would never just have that handful of tomatoes and spinach because I think it tastes rubbish. I would
Mm.
instead take the effort to like batch cook some roasted veg or air fryer veg with some like fajita seasoning on so that it actually tastes nice and spend
Mm.
that 20 minutes doing that because I'm much more likely to eat it. But you can stir fried veg, you can have like pickled veg, you can have kimchi. Do you know what I mean? There's so many different forms and varieties of that fiber. I think you've just got to take the effort to find out which one you actually like and you're going to eat consistently.
'Cause anything's better than nothing, isn't it? If you can get something in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Okay. And
fruit as well.
it's
You've got fruit as an option. If you really, really hate veg, then okay, you're just going to have to rely on fruit a little bit more.
because I've only like again PT 10 years. I've only just learned what fibre is. Like how bad is that? But do
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's so overlooked, and I don't know why. Like
yeah,
it's so easy to start going to the gym. Like there's less barriers to entry for the other areas of being a healthy person than there is for nutrition, I
yeah.
feel. And it's the thing that we're all need, like you said, need to do to stay alive. We need to eat. So why do you think it's so overlooked in the fitness space? And it's just, is it built by these convenience things like these protein yogurts and these supplements? We're not going to get onto BCAAs because I know your head will explode. But what like why do you think it's so hard for people to understand what they need to eat?
I think all nutrition problems can be categorized into three different things. It's either a knowledge issue, so don't know what to eat. It's either an emotional issue where you kind of know what to eat, but there's some emotional barrier to eating, or it's a practical issue where you think you don't have time to make the right foods or whatever it is. In my experience, the knowledge issue is the easiest to solve and it's the least common. Like maybe you don't have the knowledge because it's a confusing space online and there's so much information and you don't know what's right or wrong. That's extremely valid. But at the end of the day, we can all use Google, we can all use ChatGPT to say, I'm a 70-kilo female and I'm going for a run. What should I have? Like the information is
Mm.
free and it's there. You don't need a nutritionist for that. What you tend to need a nutritionist for is how to apply that to your life in a way that's sustainable and works for you. So that's the practical side. And the emotional side is I'm so often telling athletes you need to eat more carbs. Like that's why you're getting stress fractures. That's why you're underfueling. That's why you've lost your period. And they know that and they hear that. And I'm a qualified professional telling them that. But it's the emotional side of it that they're scared to eat more carbs because of years and years of conditioning or hearing that that's bad for them.
'Cause there's nothing like that, I feel, in the gym space. Maybe there's like optim like the best you should do push pull legs, you should only do cardio and abs, you should like these things like but they're quite fleeting. Like when you go to a gym, people naturally gravitate towards what they like and what they inherently can stay consistent with because
Yeah,
it's an enjoyment thing. But with nutrition, it's so clouded by like when I was a personal trainer, having I was, as you know, I coached mainly females for some reason. It was just the population that we had in the gym that
Yeah,
needed help. But it was always the same conversation. It was the Weight Watchers, the Slim Fast,
yeah,
the big companies that had brainwashed people over the years
yeah,
into these fears of food.
yeah,
Do you see that in the clients that you work with now? Like,
yeah.
is that a regular conversation that you're having to get them out of these mindsets? And how do you do that? How, like, if someone watching this now is terrified of a certain food,
Yeah.
what do you do?
It's I have really tough conversations about it, and like sometimes it is really heartbreaking where you can see that someone wants to change their outcome and how they feel about it so much. But to be honest, like I feel unqualified to have those conversations sometimes because at that stage it's not actually nutrition. Like nutrition is the symptom, food is like the medium, but the problem
Mm.
is usually entirely emotional. So I've had clients in the past where I've said like I would love to help you down the line, but right now I feel like you're wasting your money with me because you need to go and speak to someone whose expertise is like behavior and psychology and that kind of thing. So yeah, those conversations can be really tough. I think the society that we live in now, I think 90% of people have disordered eating on some level, whether that's being overweight and binge eating, or whether it's, you know, the classic, what we think about, like anorexia and bulimia and those eating disorders. It's not just limited to those stereotypes. I think disordered eating is a massive spectrum, and literally everyone that I speak to has disordered eating on some level. I think it's hard to avoid. Sometimes
Really?
myself, I'm sure like we both have disordered eating thoughts sometimes when you have like a bad self image, body day, whatever. Even though we work in the space, do you know what I mean? It's just it's kind of the society that we live in now.
And do you think there is a a perfect solution? Like if you could like Play-Doh create someone from birth, and how would you get? Because I'm going to be a dad. This is why I've started this podcast because I want to like. Thank you very much. I
Give
want
it
to
to dad wisdom.
exactly, but like I want to raise my kid knowing certain things about the world, and one of them because I know the value of nutrition. Because anyone that's successful or does anything, whatever success is to anyone, they don't eat like shit.
Yeah.
They what you put in is what you get out, right? And but someone who doesn't really know what they're talking about, how would you perfectly create like a mindset from day one to what they should work towards on a day-to-day basis and how they should live, and how can people take that and go, okay, this is how I should now operate, because that's going to be the thing that's going to not just benefit the way I look in the mirror and my skin and my hair and my nails, but also how my mind works, how I sleep, how I feel when I wake up, my mood, my motivation, it all comes from food.
Yeah, I love this question. And I think my approach would be every single food is just made up of a collection of nutrients, and every single nutrient has a purpose. And all of those purposes are fundamentally good because they keep us alive. Like, you can't argue with that. That is the fact. So, therefore, it's just about manipulating those nutrients for your desired purpose. So, for example, if you want to eat a pizza that's predominantly carbohydrates, then a great time to eat a pizza is the night before you go for a long run because that's when
Mm.
carbohydrates are really, really useful. If you want to have a steak, then it's going to be really useful to have that steak after you've hit a heavy week of training in the gym because it's going to be great for recovery. And also, that's not to say that you can't have those foods at other times, but it's just sometimes it's going to be more useful and other times it's going to be more for enjoyment. But enjoyment is still a valid part of health. Like, I think the number one predictor of longevity and a long life is like a happy, fulfilled social circle. Like, more than smoking or drinking or taking drugs or exercise or any of those things that we all fixate on, the number one predictor of a long and happy and healthy life is literally being happy in a social circle. And so much of that is like going out for food with your friends and stuff, which is typically typically the higher fat foods or whatever. But I truly think, again, I wrote a Substack article on this, but I can make a case for any food or drink being healthy.
Mm,
Because if you go out and enjoy 2 glasses of wine with a friend, that's literally lengthening your life based on this research. And of
mm,
course, moderation matters and balance matters, but if you think about it as nothing is fundamentally good or bad, it's all just eating for purpose. And health is such a big picture with lots of building blocks, then I think that's a much more free way of looking at things. And you can have a much more
mm.
positive approach to food.
'Cause that's a really good point. I've been in diet phases, and I've been in the bad body image phases, and I've been through the whatever phases you want to call it. And I don't think I'm a stranger to this, and I don't think anyone else is. But you go out for a meal and you look at what you really want, and then you go,
Yeah,
I better not. I better not.
yeah,
I'll have this instead.
yeah.
You're saying that's more of a negative thing to do than the positive of enjoying the thing you want stress free with your friends and or whatever. Is that what
I
you're saying?
I think each occasion you can reassess it and reassess your priorities. So you can go to the exact same restaurant and look at the exact same food choices. And on each occasion, you might decide a different thing, and that could be the best outcome because it depends at what point you're at and at what you're feeling. So, for example, like right now, I've cut my alcohol drinking down quite a lot because I'm going to High Rocks World Champs in 2 weeks. So right now, when I'm in a situation where I'm out with my friends and the option is like get a beer or not get a beer, I've been choosing to say no because my priority and what is going to make me happy is seeing the rewards when I compete at High Rocks World Champs from that hard work that I've put in. And that happiness and that passion and drive right now is more important. Whereas in summer after High Rocks Worlds, you better believe I'll be saying yes to the pints because I'll
Mm,
be with my friends after competing at a High Rocks World Champs, which is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and therefore the healthier, better choice for me is to then chill out and relax and have that beer. So the
mm,
same choice can have different outcomes. Like there is no black and white. Nutrition is all grey. Like if I ever
mm.
get to write a book, that will be the title of my book. Like
I
nutrition is
love
a
that
grey
actually,
area.
because there's no end goal. When we're talking about, because people go on to various different diets, they try intermittent fasting, they try 5-2, they try what other ever bullshit people
Keto.
start,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it's all with a very short term mindset. Like, okay, how can I get in shape for this holiday?
Yeah.
Fair. You like yes, like you with High Rocks, you have a goal, you have a phase that you're going towards, and you have to treat that differently. But the overarching thing is there is no end goal. Like as soon as that holiday's done, then what? Are you going to go back to eating that shit? Like why? Why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Because then next time you go on holiday, you've got the same problem or the same,
Yeah.
and then the same solution has to happen, and you're going through this cycle and this wave of,
Yeah.
and yes, you could bring enjoyment into it and whatever, but the the thing I've found is if I can just maintain a happy medium of I eat sort of what I want, I exercise sort of when I want, uh, and I live in this state of moderation and maintenance. If
Yeah.
I do want to do a blast in some capacity, great, I can do that. But
Yeah.
how can someone implement a strategy to just go, okay, I'm not bothered about how long this takes. I just want to improve year after year after year. When I'm old, I want to be healthy
Yeah.
because you don't want to leave it too late, do you? You
No.
don't want to leave it to the point where you're like, I have to now be reactive instead of proactive.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what's like if you had a Bible of like steps to take to live a healthy life? Obviously, like you said, veg 5 a day or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I think with the quality of fruit and veg now, I think it's like you have to eat like 30 a day. But ignoring that, like if we but like more variety in your diet, what else? Hydration, more water.
Yeah. Exercise is obviously a big one, which is not my specific area of expertise, but there's a lot of research as well that says it's your health outcomes are better if you exercise and you do the variety of like 3 strength sessions a week and 2 cardio sessions, even if you're like overweight clinically based on BMI scale or whatever, even if you're overweight, it's better to be overweight and do the exercise rather than not do any exercise and technically be a healthy weight. So exercise is a big one. I'm a big fan of the 80-20 rule. I think that solves a lot of problems, like we're saying, where you can choose to have the food that you enjoy, but it's based on 80% of the time eating the whole foods and the lean proteins and getting that color on your plate. A rule that I personally follow in my training and my nutrition is never skip 2 in a row. And that's something that you can apply to anything. So I personally hate leg day in the gym, so I apply it to that. If I skip one leg day, the next session that I skip cannot be leg day. Or
Oh, I like that.
yeah, or you can't skip 2 sessions back to back. Or if you skip a session, you can't then have an unhealthy meal after that. You can never
Mm.
skip 2 in a row, whatever it is. Or if I say, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna have a beer, that's fine, but I can't then mess up my dinner because of it, because that would be skipping 2 of my targets in a row, for example. And I like that because it can be flexible to whatever your goal is as well. So it could be
Well,
don't
it
skip 2 runs in a row, it could be don't skip 2 breakfasts in a row, whatever.
comes down to that all or nothing, doesn't it? Like people think progress and consistency is linear. Like it has to go up in a steady line, otherwise otherwise it's a downward line.
Yeah,
Whereas it can be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 1 step back, 2 steps forward. It can always be like that as long as the intention is to continue. That's you optimize to carry on. It's like you don't get married to tick the married box and then go, great, I'm married. But you do when like the goal isn't to complete, is it? It's not to like, great, I'm a dad, cool, done.
yeah,
It's to continue being a dad. It's to continue being a husband. It's to continue to being a wife. It's continue to being in
yeah,
shape. That is what we need to optimize for, is to carry on, not to finish, right?
yeah. And this is literally why I called my business the Nutrition Project, because it's always an ongoing project. Like, even
Mm,
for myself, as someone who's experienced in nutrition now, there's always something new to work on. And even maintaining, like, that is something to work on. And I think if you take that approach as well and you kind of approach your nutrition or your fitness journey or whatever it is with curiosity and interest, rather than like the all or nothing approach, I think that takes a lot of pressure off as well, because you can
mm,
kind of think, well, why have I gained that weight? Like, what is different? Or why are my runs sucking a bit at the minute? And then you can think of the solutions for yourself. And I think that also trains your brain in a good way for the approach to nutrition.
mm. And when you're helping people, what people come to you for one reason, not one reason, but they come to you for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was a personal trainer, I remember this one client who was, I call her midget Jim because she was 4'11", and she wasn't happy with how she looked. She wasn't happy with whatever, and she'd come to me to lose that weight after however long. And yeah, we optimized for her losing weight, right? So we reduced the calories, we increased her output, we gave her some
Yeah.
exercise, we got her stronger, yada yada yada. But all of the other benefits that came from it were things that she weren't expecting.
Yeah.
So she lost 20 kilos, and that was a massive goal. It was great. But the biggest thing that she took from it was that she could tie shoelaces without like
Yeah.
putting a foot up on this thing and having to get into this contorted position. She could just bend down and tie her shoelaces. And
Yeah.
that was like such a tangible, real
Yeah.
progress feeling that made it addictive. When I was coaching my auntie who was dying of cancer, she was really getting weak because of the chemo and this, and it wasn't about weight loss, it was about maintaining mobility as she gets ill.
Yeah.
And one of the things that blew her mind wasn't that she could like deadlift 80 kilos or anything, it was that she could get the air fryer off the bottom shelf
Yeah.
without having to like, do you know what I
Exactly.
mean? Just these tiny little things that you see day to day. So when you're working with people, if we talk about nutrition specific, what things do you see benefit outside of just my diet's good now?
Yeah. I mean, I require all of my clients to have a performance goal. Like, so everyone who comes to me has to have a performance goal. They might have a fat loss goal alongside it. but I also get them to set a goal based on how they feel. So no one can come to me and say, I just want to lose X amount of weight. Even if that's their primary goal, that's fine. But I'll say, okay, what metrics are you going to look at in the gym as well? And what metrics are you going to look at in terms of sleep or energy and mood? Just so it's like that rounded approach. So it's not solely so singularly focused on just a number, because people are just plucking these numbers out their ass. Like they say, I want to be 55 kilos, but they don't know how they're going to feel at 55 kilos. For some reason, it's just an arbitrary number that they've like made up. And
It
so,
might be a number that they've seen in the past on the scale that they felt good at, so they associate
yeah,
happiness with that number.
yeah. But I think because I'm pretty strict with that, and I very much encourage that, over time they'll come to me and be like, oh my gosh, like I hit 80 kilo deadlift or whatever, and I really didn't expect it at all. And I'm like, yeah, there you go, that's amazing. Or it could be, I did the same run as last week and I hit the same paces, but I recovered a lot quicker in between my intervals. And I think that holistic way of looking at it, like for me, mainly it's performance focused, right? Because I work with a lot of athletes. But yeah, for sure, the day-to-day things as well, just how they feel and their energy and their mood, getting their eating sorted so they're actually having breakfast and a balanced lunch rather than starving themselves and then trying to eat a salad with no carbs and then like slumping at 4 p.m. all the time and just feeling terrible at work, which then goes into a cycle of like going to the office and having the office snacks and the biscuit tin, and then they feel guilty about it, and it's kind of like a constant cycle. Just getting some structure in place to relieve them of that constant kind of guilt binge exertion cycle, you can't underestimate what that just does for your mental health in general.
Mm. Okay, let's kill some fads. I'm going to call you the fad killer.
Let's go.
What's your least favorite fad? What's your most hated fad?
Keto, intermittent fasting for women, BCAAs.
Okay, let's go keto. Why do you hate keto?
Because it's sold as an easy way to lose weight by just cutting out one thing. Whereas if you cut out any one thing or cut out anything, it's a natural reduction. And I think it just perpetrates the wrong mindset. People do it because they've heard that it works quickly. And I think what we need to be doing in general as a health and fitness industry is literally bust that myth to start with. Like, stop aiming for the short, quick stuff because it's not going to serve you long term.
Okay, so keto, that is reducing carbs, right? So completely getting rid of carbs,
Yeah.
going into ketosis, which is like sub 20 grams of carbs per, is that right? Sub 20
Yeah, it's
or
less
sub
than
40?
5 to 10% of your energy intake coming from carbs. But I
And
actually,
why does that
go
go on?
on. I was going to say, I watched a good podcast actually from someone called Dr. Emily Dow, I think her name is. And she made an excellent point that carbs are so important. Like, your body needs carbs so much that even when you don't eat them in the keto diet, your body has a backup process to create carbs. Like, that's kind of what ketosis is, which is a way that I'd never articulated it before, but I thought that was so clever because your body doesn't have that backup process for protein or fats because
Mm.
those nutrients are fundamentally, I guess, less important for survival, not less important overall. I'm not hating on protein or fat, they're very important still. But carbs are not just important for exercise, like they are what keep us alive, they're what keep us thinking and breathing. Yeah.
Mm. And when you stop eating carbs, what happens? Why do people lose weight quick? Because they do, don't
Yeah.
they? But what? But why?
Because carbs are stored with water in the body. So 1 gram of carbs is stored with like 3 or 4 grams of water. So when you drop carbs, you drop that water weight very quickly. So you'll feel like tinier and leaner. But then obviously when you start eating carbs again, you'll immediately puff back up. And that's why it's
Mm.
easy to associate carbs with like feeling fluffy. And I struggled to get a lot of my athletes to start with to carb load because they don't want to look or feel fluffy on the start line. They want to look jacked. They want to have abs. But it's just like that's how the body works. It's the same with creatine. Like, creatine promotes water retention, and it's a positive thing because it helps with, absorbing nutrients around the body. But we're just all so fixated on aesthetics that gets put on a pedestal. and will sacrifice health and performance in the pursuit of looking jacked, which to me makes
Mm.
no sense, but everyone's got their priorities, right?
It's yeah, people care about more about what they look on the outside than what they look like on the inside.
Yeah,
But if you look good on the inside, if you look good on the outside, you could look really bad on the inside,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But if you look really good on the inside, it's likely that you'll look good on the outside. Maybe
yeah,
not to the point of looking incredible,
yeah,
but you'd look much better than if you were just optimizing for,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? The opposite.
And like we said, it's
Okay.
it's how you feel as well. So if you look good on the inside, then you'll probably got better gut health, and gut health is your happy hormone, so you'll feel better. And therefore, even if you gain 2 extra kilos, like who cares? When you're 80 years old, you're not going to look back and be like, yeah, I had a six pack. You're going to be thinking, oh, I wish I could live till 90 and I hadn't spent the last 20 years on a walking frame because I'm so immobile.
100%. Okay. So killed keto, fuck
Yeah.
keto. What's next? What was next?
Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting. Go on, hit me. Why? Because I've tried that. I've done that quite. That is my go-to, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think in general, males can get away with it more than females. But again, I think it's just a lazy way to cut calories. Sorry, Frank. And I
I'm lazy.
think
I'm very lazy. So
my main issue with it is just that it's not practical and it's not common sense. Like, so we wake up in the morning and we then continue to burn calories throughout the day. Then we go to sleep and you burn less calories because you just lay down. It doesn't make sense to me that you would not give your body energy when it needs to burn it throughout the day. And then when your body doesn't need energy because you're going to bed, you then go, okay, we'll give you some energy. Like that just logically is the wrong way around. So even with the typical meal structure of like breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the UK, I feel like the classic is small bowl of cereal for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, and then like a big dinner. It would actually make a lot more sense nutritionally to flip that around and have like steak and potatoes and veg for breakfast to give your body the energy when it needs it. Then you burn that throughout the day, and then you have just like something to replenish your energy stores at the end of the day before you go to bed and you get a good sleep because your digestive system can chill out.
what about for the simpletons out there that would argue to this? Like, I'm purely talking to my father here because he's an intermittent fasting. He's like the king of intermittent fasting. He will go, well, if I'm not eating in the morning and it means I'm burning more, aren't I just burning fat?
But why is burning fat better?
Because I want to lose fat.
But you can lose fat by just eating less at each meal. You don't need to cut out a whole meal. And I think
It
maybe,
averages out.
yeah, I think maybe for sedentary population, it's less impactful. But for anyone who is even remotely athletic, and this is a big thing that I talk to my athletes about because no one would call themselves an athlete. Like, I think it's cringe to call myself an athlete. But realistically, myself and most people that I'm interacting with are training 8+ hours per week. And therefore, if you're waking up in the morning and you're training hard and you're not eating either before or after that until maybe like 12, then you're actually really damaging your health because you're under fueling and your body starts to go into like a conservation mode where it down regulates your fat metabolism anyway because it's going into survival mode because you're demanding energy output and not giving it any energy inputs. So in that sense, intermittent fasting is just counterproductive if your goal is fat loss.
And what if I train at 6 a.m. and I don't want to get up at 4 a.m. to eat? Because then I'm detrimenting the sleep gurus out there that are telling me I need my eight
Yeah.
hours, but I need to train before work because after work I've got whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good question. In that case, you don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. I would completely agree with that. I would say if you drive to the gym, keep a bunch of bananas on your passenger seat or like a box of cereal bars. And as long as you're being safe on the roads, eat something as you go. I literally used to eat a banana on a motorbike driving to my gym in KL. So
I've been on your bike.
if I can do it on a motorbike, guys, there's no excuse if you're in a nice car.
Crutches sticking out either way like that.
But you know what I mean? Like, again, something is better than nothing. Even if you don't have anything before your session, which you can, if you don't, it's just an excuse. when you start your session, in between your sets, you can be sipping apple juice or orange juice or a coffee with some protein powder and oat milk in, which gives you a bit of protein and carbs. Do you know what I mean? Liquid
Mm,
calories is also fine.
mm,
It's not optimal, but it's better than nothing.
mm. I've recently started drinking, do you know the Lucozade Sports, the
Yeah.
squeezy bottles.
Yeah.
I just got one because I forgot my water bottle at the gym the other day,
Mm.
and I got one of those, and then I had one half, and I was like, I feel fucking amazing throughout this session. Didn't know why.
Yeah.
Next time, just took my water. Time after, got a Lucozade, and I was like, oh my god, it's a Lucozade. Like
Yeah.
I can maintain strength throughout the session. Do you know what I mean? I'm feeling stronger. I'm feeling better.
Because it's sugar, right? And sugar has a bad rep, but sugar is just a simple carbohydrate, and carbs are what fuel your performance. It's
Yeah,
literally energy in gives you more energy out, like it's how it works.
yeah. Okay. Supplements.
Yeah.
What do you love? What do you hate? What are some good ones? Top three and the most hated ones.
Top three, number one, creatine monohydrate. Get yourself a good creatine. Um,
Males and females.
Males and females, all ages, buy your grandma some creatine. It is one of the most researched supplements and it has no side effects other than maybe feeling a little bit bloated. But again, you should just get over that for the
Mm.
amount of health benefits that it gives you. Um, Really, really good. Number two, for
Sorry,
me,
just to interrupt. Sorry.
go on.
Can creatine can it negatively affect sleep? So I was talking to um, someone in the family the other day about creatine, and she'd started using creatine for like a month. She was feeling great in the gym. She was feeling stronger. She was feeling better in herself. But then her sleep, at the same time she started taking it, her sleep was starting to get affected. And she did some looking into it, and I don't know if it is directly linked, but it said something about how it can, when you first start taking it, it can interrupt sleep and make you more reactive to noises and sounds and movement. And
Oh,
is
okay.
that a
I mean, I've never heard that. It's not something that's popped out of the literature. I mean, I would have to like read the source where she got it from and to know, but honestly, I've never heard that before. I think I'm never gonna say to someone like your personal experience doesn't count, like it's irrelevant. If that's their experience, then that counts for something because it's their life, right?
mm,
But I would say first and foremost, they'd have to look at all of the other factors in their life and see if it could possibly be down to anything else. Because when they've done studies on like thousands of people, that's not something that's kind of prominently showed up.
okay, fair enough. Sorry, what was next?
Uh, for me, number two would be electrolytes, but that's because I'm in a very hot and humid country and I train 10 plus hours a week, so I'm sweating a lot. Electrolytes are really, really important for me to stay hydrated for muscle contraction. But if you're in the UK, you probably don't need electrolytes, to be honest, unless you're doing like ultra marathon running. So that's
Mm.
kind of depends. Protein powder, I think, is a really useful one. Obviously, you want to take a food first approach to your nutrition. So you do want to be getting your sources of protein from eggs and chickpeas and chicken and yogurt and all of these things first and foremost. But if it makes your life easier, then get some protein powder because
It's a,
it's a lean source of protein. So in Malaysia and Southeast Asia especially, if you eat out, a lot of the protein sources are fried. So to hit your protein target by eating chicken or fish, you would also have a very high fat intake. So sometimes it is just easier to be like, all right, I'll skip the protein in my meal and I'll have a shake.
mm. I think the key word that everyone overlooks is the word that describes it, which is it's a supplement. It supplements your diet. It adds and it supports the stuff that you need to hit.
Yeah.
I see people with like, and I've been in this, don't get me wrong, I very much have been in this like 18 different pill pots for different vitamins and fucking D3, K2, C,
Yeah.
this, that, the other. And it's quite easy to hit the amount of nutrients you need if you just eat well.
Yeah, exactly. And that comes back to just find a way of cooking veg that is enjoyable for you and you'll be fine.
Because if you're eating veg, you'll likely hit the stuff that you're supplementing anyway
Yeah.
for a fraction of the cost. So anyone that argues that eating healthier is more expensive, one, I actually don't think that's true anymore. But
Yeah.
two, if you then include all the supplements that you take,
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 times cheaper if you just ate better.
And outside of the UK, where healthcare isn't free, so here, like you pay for health insurance, whatever. In America, like health is really, really expensive. You don't want to be in a position where you're paying for the surgeries or whatever you're going to have to pay in a hospital because you've not taken care of your health. Like it is better to prevent it and just eat some veg.
Mm. Just a bit of veg. That's all it takes.
Yeah, honestly, fajitas are the best meal ever because bit of chicken, chop up some mixed peppers, so red, yellow, green peppers. You got three colors, eat the rainbow. Some red onion, fry that all in a
Isn't that
pan.
Skittles?
Fry that in a pan, chuck some fajita seasoning on, whack it in a wrap for your carbs. You're ticking all the boxes. That's the rule of thirds with a variety of colors for your gut health. Best meal ever.
Mexicans have got it down, haven't they?
Yeah.
All right. What do you hate?
Hate BCAAs because they're a waste of money. So anyone who's buying BCAAs, you're already getting enough BCAAs from your protein powder or from your food sources of protein. So a lot of people are taking BCAAs and they don't even know what it stands for. It stands for branched chain amino acid, which are three of the essential amino acids: leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Um, and yeah, they're just amino acids that you get in chicken or fish or protein powder. If you're hitting your overall protein target, you probably don't need BCAAs on top. The exception would be maybe a vegan athlete because vegan sources or plant-based sources of protein are less dense in leucine and isoleucine and valine. So for a vegan athlete, it's possible that they are hitting the overall protein target, but not enough of those specific BCAAs. That's the only scenario where they could possibly be useful.
Okay, fine. What else? They
Any
taste good though, to be fair.
Well, just get some Ribena. Get some
All
Robinson's
right,
fruit squash.
fine. All right. We got some squash.
Yeah, that's another thing actually. People taking electrolytes for the flavor. Don't do that. Like, don't be flavoring your water with electrolytes, Frank.
You're literally everything that we're talking about here. I feel personally attacked.
I know
Carry
you
on.
get the LMNT ones, or you used to get the
Missed
LMNT.
missed a subscription. I can't. I don't know how to cancel it.
Absolutely outrageous because they're so dense in sodium as well. Like I
Yeah.
like them here, but 1,000 milligrams of sodium is a lot. That's like half the salt that you need in an entire day, and you're just putting it in your drink for a bit of flavor.
I heavily salt my food as well.
Yeah, same. Okay, other ones I hate, multivitamins, just generic multivitamins. They don't really do anything. They might say that they've got all of these different B complexes and stuff in it, but it doesn't mean that your body can absorb it all anyway. Again,
And
it's
it's
just,
like a tenth of what you need per supplement, isn't it? So that it can fit in this tiny capsule.
yeah, exactly. Other things I hate, name some and I'll say yes or no.
Well, I want your opinion on GLP-1s. So like the Ozempics, the Manjaros, the Retas, that
Yeah.
ev genuinely pretty much 95% of people I talk to have tried it or
Really?
are on it at the moment. On it is
That's why.
everywhere. It
That is
is
why.
everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, that would be the problem with it. To be honest, it's not a conversation that I've engaged in because I've not really looked into it too much. It's not the clientele that I deal with, so I've kind of kept
Mm.
out of the conversation because I kind of don't want to say the wrong thing. I think fundamentally, again, they're a good thing because they are a life-saving drug for people who are morbidly obese. Like you wouldn't take someone with blood pressure issues and tell them not to take statins or whatever because they're prescribed for a reason that is going to save their life. It's the same with the GLP-1s. You know, people are making arguments like, well, if it's a way for me to feel better about myself, what's wrong with that? And I can't argue with that necessarily, but I just think the system is wrong and we don't have the systems in place for them to be prescribed or allowed to be bought on the mass market. I think it probably should be the case that you have to have like a nutritionist and a dietitian alongside that prescription where maybe that's the case. I literally don't know. But at the end of the day, GLP-1s work to suppress your appetite. So you're either going to take them for the rest of your life and then not be in touch with your appetite signals at all, or you're going to come off them at some point, which is the more reasonable likelihood, and then you're kind of back to square one. I'm pretty sure the research has showed that people then gain weight again after they come off them. Do you
Yeah,
know
it's
the
not a it's not a forever thing. I
Yeah.
think the what the argument is, it gives people a second chance. So do you know how we were saying about if you're in a situation and you sort of don't know how to get out of it, and
Yeah.
it's hard to stay consistent, and it's you've got such a like a perceived long road ahead of you
Mm.
that you wish you could just cycle back 10 years and know what you know now.
Yeah.
If you can take this GLP-1 that puts you quicker into that situation again
Yeah.
and allows you to have that second chance of learning what you need to learn, eating properly,
Yeah.
and not getting back to where you were, I
Yeah.
think it's a positive thing. But
Yeah.
it's the people that are on it, they carry on not going to the gym. They keep eating the fucking sausage sandwiches for breakfast with a bottle of ketchup and crisps for lunch,
Yeah.
and have to, like you said, have to either stay on it or go back in
Yeah.
a big vicious cycle,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. I think there's definitely an argument for like identity-based change. For example, I've had clients in the past who were so self-conscious about their weight, they wouldn't go to a gym because they obviously felt out of place and they felt judged. And I think there's a lot to be said for someone using a tool like a GLP-1 to kind of get more in shape so that then they feel comfortable to go into a gym setting or to like eat healthier, because there's a lot to be said for that. When you feel like a healthy person, you act and behave like a healthy person, and maybe the GLP-1 is the tool that gets you to that stage. But then that still goes along with the fact that there needs to be systems in place that I don't think are currently in place.
100%. And if you could change one thing, we'll finish on this because I know you need to get off. But if you could change one thing about the whole health and wellness space that probably keeps you up at night, or pet peeves, or whatever you want to call it, what would you change?
My mission this year in particular is to get consumers, everybody in society, to critically think more about their own health outcomes and stop outsourcing their health decisions to other people, which is usually random people on the internet. Because yes, we have a problem of unqualified people giving unsolicited health advice, but that wouldn't be as big of a problem if the general population and consumers of this information knew how to discern whether that was good or bad information. So if I could wave a magic wand and do one thing, it would be give people that critical thinking ability to make their own health decisions.
With the right education in place, and
Yeah.
or at least attempt to go and get your own
Yeah.
form of education about what's going to genuinely benefit you versus
Yeah.
the new trend or the new fad.
Exactly. Start having that questioning feedback process in your brain, thinking, okay, well, why is that person recommending that? Is it because they're paid to say it? Is it because they've created that product? If it's not, if it's genuinely good advice, well, does that advice apply to me, or is it genuinely good advice for someone else? Like I said with the electrolytes, you'll see on my Instagram me saying that electrolytes are really important and that carbohydrates are really important. But that's because I'm speaking to my audience who are living in Southeast Asia and doing endurance performance. Someone in the UK who is sedentary and sitting on their ass 9 till 5 would hear that advice, which is good advice, but it's not for them. So people
Mm.
need to learn how to determine that for themselves. And I think that would fix a lot of the problems that we have in the health and fitness industry.
I think it's just being interested. Like, I, I, I can't understand why you wouldn't be interested in your health.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, genuinely, when I look at it from a point of view of actual health, I'm probably not the healthiest person. I might look good and I might be able to train all right and I might be able to, but like the sleep, the food choices sometimes, it's not what optimized health would be. And I know I could take more interest in my health, and I don't know why I don't. I still don't know why. Like it's so easy to pass off and push down and kick down the road a little bit. but it matters now, not later.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, you are doing the 80%. Like maybe you're not doing the 20% or whatever, but you are in the bracket of you're taking care of yourself because you want to be a good dad and a good partner and you want to show up for your business and stuff. And like that does matter. You're not going to be relying on other people to take care of yourself, of you, and you're going to have a long and healthy and happy life. And I don't know why that doesn't matter to other people because they're not doing the basics. I think forget if you're someone who is not doing the basics, forget optimization. It's not for you now and it might never be for you, and that's fine. We all have a different baseline, but you have to be eating regularly. You have to be eating carbs, fats, protein, veg, and you can draw the line there if you want, but just do those things.
Mm. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, Hannah.
No worries. Thank you for chatting.
Where can people find you? What can you help people with? Who do you help? Plug
Yes.
yourself.
Okay,
Hype yourself up.
you can find me on Instagram at underscore Hannah Prescott. You can find me on Substack, which I'm really thoroughly enjoying writing articles over there in like a longer form content. Because, like I said, I think nutrition advice needs more nuance rather than just these bite sized little reels, whatever. So you can find me at Substack. I think my tag is We Are the Nutrition Project, or you can search my name, Hannah Prescott. Yeah, and I help endurance athletes, mainly training in the tropics, but I have clients in Manchester, London, Canada. I've got clients all over. So if you want online nutrition coaching that isn't a strict diet and is actually going to fit your life and you're going to feel good about yourself rather than just an arbitrary number on the scale, then hit me up.
Shoot you go. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.